GB News host Eamonn Holmes furious as he asks, does it make a darn bit of difference? Eamonn Holmes has sparked a backlash as he shared his controversial opinion on missing beavers. Eamonn Holmes faced criticism after expressing his contentious views about a well-liked zoo animal on air. During his visit to the London studios on Monday, January 27, the veteran broadcaster, aged 65, woke up the nation alongside co-host Ellie Costello. The pair tackled some of the day's biggest stories, including the surge in anxiety diagnoses nationwide and the UK commemorating 80 years since Auschwitz's liberation. Later in the program, they discussed the growing concern for two escaped beavers from Mapperton Wildlands. Woody and Twiggy, two 4-year-old Eurasian beavers, had been residing at the Mapperton Estate near Beaminster, Dorset, as part of a rewilding project. It is believed that the duo made their escape during the winter storms preceding Christmas. The public is now being urged to keep an eye out for nod trees in the search for the missing beavers. However, it's safe to say not everyone on the GB News panel is fond of this endearing creature. As Ellie highlighted some of the beavers' positive characteristics, Eamonn couldn't help but display his irritation. She elaborated, they reduce flooding. They build natural upstream defenses that slow water down, hence reducing flooding downstream where it's more populated, reports the Express. He grumbled, really? Wow, whatever. At this point, his colleague Darren Grimes interjected, asking, why do you not like beavers? Quote. Eamonn was clearly irate as he said, it's not that I don't like beavers. Look, we haven't had beavers in this country for 100 years. Does it make a darn bit of difference to your life? No, this makes no difference to your life, so why are you interrupting me? Quote. Darren queried, I was just asking, I didn't know that you didn't like beavers, which led Eamonn to clarify, I never said I didn't like beavers. However, the tension continued when the presenter retorted, I've obviously hit a nerve though, haven't I? And Eamonn added fuel to the fire by responding, I just don't see the point of them. According to a report I watched, they are the size of a Labrador dog. The conversation sparked quite a reaction among viewers, with many taking to the comments to express their bewilderment at the TV personality's apparent animosity towards the animals. One user offered some insight by pointing out an inaccuracy in Eamonn's comment about the size of beavers, saying, beavers are 70 to 100 cms long. I only know this as I ran a beaver colony in the Scout Association for years. 3 cry laughing emojis. Another chimed in to correct his take on beavers' reintroduction benefits. Check your facts with the beavers, they are being introduced back into this country and can help solve flooding problems. We used to have beavers here, but as usual the human idiots killed them all off. Quote. Other viewers couldn't resist addressing the peculiar nature of Eamonn's rant. One teased, is it your time of the month, Eamonn? You seem very tetchy this morning. While a second comment mirrored the sentiment, sorry Eamonn has passed his sell-by date, Mr. Angry. Quote. Eamonn Holmes, the popular GB News host, expressed his frustration during a recent broadcast, questioning the impact of certain political developments and media practices. Known for his direct style and candid opinions, Holmes made waves with his blunt commentary, asking, does it make a darn bit of difference? The comment was made in the midst of a heated discussion about current political events and the role of the media in shaping public perception. Holmes, who has spent decades in the television industry, was visibly irritated as he questioned whether the ongoing controversies and political maneuverings were truly making a difference in the lives of ordinary citizens. The context of the comment. The comment was made during a segment on GB News, where Holmes and his co-presenters were analyzing the latest political headlines. The focus of the discussion was on the government's handling of key issues, such as healthcare, education, and the economy. As the conversation grew more intense, Holmes became increasingly skeptical about the ability of politicians to create meaningful change. In his typical no-nonsense fashion, Holmes challenged the idea that political developments, such as new policies or government reshuffles, were actually improving the lives of the public. His question, does it make a darn bit of difference, was a rhetorical one, aimed at highlighting his belief that much of the political discourse may be irrelevant or disconnected from the real concerns of everyday people. Holmes' frustration with political process. Holmes' frustration with the political system is not new. Over the years, he has been vocal about his disillusionment with politicians and their ability to deliver on promises. His comment on GB News resonated with many viewers who shared his sentiment, believing that political leaders often fail to make substantial changes despite all the rhetoric. The veteran broadcaster has long been critical of the gap between political elites and the general public, often pointing out that many political decisions seem to be made without considering the impact on ordinary citizens. In recent years, as political tensions have heightened and trust in government has waned, Holmes' frustration appears to have deepened. The role of the media in shaping public perception. Holmes' comments also touched on the role of the media in shaping public opinion. He expressed skepticism about the ability of news outlets to provide meaningful insights into complex issues, instead suggesting that the media often focuses on sensationalism and trivial matters. In his view, this focus detracts from the real, substantive issues that matter to the public. His frustration with the media's role in political discourse is not without merit. Many critics have pointed out that mainstream media outlets, including television networks, often prioritize entertainment and celebrity culture over in-depth reporting on policy and governance. As a result, many people feel disconnected from the political process and unsure about how it affects their daily lives. The reaction from viewers and critics. Holmes' candid remarks sparked a range of reactions from both viewers and critics. On one hand, many viewers applauded his honesty and willingness to speak out against the status quo. Social media was flooded with comments from fans who agreed with his assessment of the political system and praised him for challenging conventional narratives. On the other hand, some critics took issue with Holmes' dismissive tone, arguing that his comments oversimplified complex issues and failed to acknowledge the positive steps taken by politicians and policymakers. They suggested that while the political process may not always produce immediate or dramatic results, it still plays a crucial role in shaping society and improving people's lives in the long term. Holmes' influence in the media landscape. Eamonn Holmes has been a prominent figure in British television for decades, known for his work on programs like This Morning, and more recently, his role at GB News. Over the years, he has built a reputation for being a straight talker who is not afraid to challenge the establishment and ask difficult questions. Holmes' candid commentary has earned him a loyal following, but it has also attracted controversy at times. As a seasoned broadcaster, he understands the power of his platform and the influence his opinions can have on public discourse. His ability to connect with viewers and spark conversation is one of the reasons why he remains a key figure in British media. The bigger picture: is politics working for the people? Holmes' question, does it make a darn bit of difference, touches on a broader issue that many people are grappling with in the current political climate. The question of whether politics is truly serving the needs of the public is a key concern for many citizens, particularly in an age where political polarization and distrust in government are at an all-time high. The sense of disillusionment that Holmes expressed is not limited to the United Kingdom. Across the world, people are questioning the effectiveness of their political systems and wondering whether politicians are truly working for the benefit of their constituents. This frustration has fueled the rise of populist movements, as well as calls for greater political reform and accountability. Conclusion: Eamonn Holmes' fiery question, does it make a darn bit of difference, encapsulates the frustration many people feel about the political system and the media's role in shaping public discourse. While his comments may have ruffled feathers, they also resonate with a growing sense of disillusionment and skepticism towards politics. Whether or not his question will lead to any concrete changes remains to be seen, but it has undoubtedly sparked a conversation about the relevance and effectiveness of political decision-making in today's world. As for Holmes, his willingness to speak his mind and challenge the status quo is likely to continue to make him a prominent and sometimes controversial figure in British media for years to come. GB News host Eamonn Holmes furious as he asks, does it make a darn bit of difference? Eamonn Holmes, the outspoken and often controversial host of GB News, was visibly frustrated and angered during a recent broadcast when he posed the rhetorical question, does it make a darn bit of difference? His comments came amid an intense political discussion on his show, where he questioned the value and impact of current government policies and political movements. As a veteran broadcaster with decades of experience, Holmes has earned a reputation for being unapologetically candid, and his latest outburst has sparked considerable debate among viewers, critics, and political analysts alike. The moment that sparked the outrage. Holmes' exasperation boiled over during a segment that focused on the recent political developments in the UK. The discussion centered around several key issues, including the government's latest policy announcements, shifts in leadership, and public reactions to various political decisions. As the conversation grew heated, Holmes, who has made a name for himself as a broadcaster unafraid to challenge the status quo, questioned the very premise of political change. With palpable frustration, Holmes turned to his co-presenters and asked, does it make a darn bit of difference? His words, seemingly simple on the surface, carried a heavy underlying critique of the political system and the apparent disconnect between politicians and the public. Holmes' remark resonated with many viewers who feel similarly disillusioned by the ongoing cycle of political promises and reforms that rarely seem to translate into tangible, positive change for ordinary people. Holmes' criticism of the political system. Eamonn Holmes has long been critical of the political system, particularly when it comes to the promises made by political parties and the reality of governance. His comment on GB News reflects a deep-seated skepticism that has only grown stronger in recent years. Like many of his viewers, Holmes appears to believe that politicians, regardless of party affiliation, are often out of touch with the challenges faced by everyday citizens. In his remark, Holmes seemed to suggest that the constant changes in government policy, leadership reshuffles, and media coverage of political developments do little to alter the lived experiences of the average person. For Holmes, the key question remains whether these political actions actually address the issues that matter most, such as healthcare, housing, education, and job security. Holmes' frustration is not just about the policies themselves, but also about what he perceives as the media's failure to hold politicians accountable. The media, in his view, often allows political figures to avoid real scrutiny, instead focusing on trivial matters or sensational headlines that distract from substantive issues. This, in turn, creates an environment where meaningful change is stymied, and the political process becomes increasingly disconnected from the public's concerns. Holmes' track record of challenging the status quo. This is not the first time that Holmes has voiced dissatisfaction with the political system or the way in which the media covers political issues. Throughout his career, Holmes has developed a reputation for speaking his mind and refusing to adhere to the conventional expectations of broadcasters. Whether he is hosting a morning show or discussing current affairs, Holmes is known for his willingness to question authority, challenge political figures, and offer blunt, sometimes controversial, opinions. His background in journalism and broadcasting has equipped him with the ability to dissect political and social issues in a way that resonates with many viewers. Holmes' candid approach to discussing the news has made him a popular figure with audiences who feel alienated by the more polished, often predictable, narratives presented by other news outlets. However, his directness has also earned him a fair share of criticism. Some argue that Holmes' skepticism and frustration with the political process can border on cynicism, and they question whether his comments might inadvertently discourage people from engaging with the democratic process altogether. Nevertheless, for many viewers, Holmes' unapologetic honesty is a breath of fresh air in a media landscape often dominated by politically correct narratives. The role of the media in political discourse. Holmes' comments about the political system also bring attention to the broader role of the media in shaping public opinion. In his view, much of the media focuses on sensationalizing political controversies rather than providing in-depth analysis or offering meaningful insights into policy decisions. This focus on drama and conflict, rather than substance, may contribute to the growing disillusionment many people feel toward politics. In a time when trust in the media and political institutions is at an all-time low, Holmes' critique resonates with viewers who feel that the media often fails to provide the kind of thorough, fact-based reporting that is needed to make informed decisions. Instead, much of the media landscape seems preoccupied with clickbait, celebrity culture, and political soundbites that do little to address the underlying problems facing society. As a host on GB News, which positions itself as an alternative to mainstream news outlets, Holmes is particularly attuned to the challenges of presenting news in a way that is engaging yet informative. He has often expressed his frustration with the media's tendency to prioritize ratings over substance, which he believes has contributed to a public that is less informed and more disengaged from the political process. The public reaction to Holmes' comments. The reaction to Holmes' outburst has been mixed, with many viewers applauding his candor and others criticizing his apparent pessimism. On social media, his question, "Does it make a darn bit of difference?" quickly became a point of discussion. Some praised Holmes for articulating what they themselves have been feeling, that the political system is broken and that little is being done to address the issues that matter most to the public. These viewers expressed their frustration with the government's inability to enact meaningful change and appreciated Holmes' willingness to speak out. Others, however, took issue with Holmes' tone and suggested that his comments were overly negative. They argued that while the political system may have its flaws, it is still worth engaging with and that dismissing it altogether could further erode public trust in democracy. Some critics also questioned whether Holmes' comments might inadvertently fuel apathy among viewers, encouraging them to disengage from the political process entirely. Despite the mixed reactions, one thing is clear: Holmes' comments have sparked a larger conversation about the state of politics, the role of the media, and the growing disconnect between politicians and the public. The broader context: political disillusionment in the UK. Holmes' frustrations are part of a larger trend of political disillusionment that has been growing in the UK and other Western democracies. Voter turnout in many elections has been declining, and public trust in government institutions has reached new lows. Many people feel that their voices are not being heard, and that politicians are more concerned with maintaining power than with addressing the real issues that affect their constituents. In the UK, this disillusionment has been particularly evident in the wake of Brexit, which highlighted the deep divisions in British society. While some celebrate the decision to leave the European Union as a victory for democracy, others see it as a symbol of the failure of the political establishment to effectively represent the needs and desires of the public. This polarization has only intensified the sense of frustration and disillusionment that Holmes expressed during his broadcast. The future of political discourse. As the political landscape continues to evolve, it is clear that the concerns raised by Eamonn Holmes and many of his viewers are unlikely to go away anytime soon. The role of the media in shaping political discourse will remain a contentious issue, with calls for greater transparency, accountability, and more substantive reporting. Likewise, the growing sense of political disillusionment will likely continue to fuel debates about the effectiveness of democratic systems and whether they are truly serving the needs of the people. For Holmes, his outburst is a reflection of his deep frustration with the state of politics and the media. Whether or not his comments will lead to meaningful change remains to be seen, but they have undoubtedly sparked a larger conversation about the direction of politics in the UK and beyond. Conclusion: a call for meaningful change. Eamonn Holmes' question, "Does it make a darn bit of difference?" is a powerful indictment of the political and media systems in the UK. For many, it serves as a reminder of the growing sense of frustration and disillusionment with the political process. While some may dismiss Holmes' comments as overly cynical, they reflect a deeper concern about the state of democracy and the need for real, tangible change. As the political climate continues to shift, it remains to be seen whether the concerns raised by Holmes and others will lead to greater accountability, reform, and, ultimately, a political system that is more responsive to the needs of the people.